Good day, everyone. Welcome to our virtual class. I am Sharon Arquia.
I am Nikki R. Vega.
And I am Jimar Max Sabinontillo.
Today, we're going to discuss the neoliberalism, myth, and vita active. Neoliberalism or neoliberalism is the 20th century ideas associated with economic liberalism and free market capitalism. It is generally associated with policies of economic liberalization, including privatization, deregulation, globalization, free trade, austerity, and reductions in government spending in order to increase the role of the private sector in the economy and society. In policymaking, neoliberalism was part of the paradigm shift away from the prevailing Keynesian economic consensus that existed prior to the persistent stagflation of the 1970s. English speakers have used the term neoliberalism since the start of the 20th century with different meanings, but it became more prevalent in its current meaning in the 1970s and 1980s. The definition and usage of the term have changed over time. As an economic philosophy, neoliberalism emerged among European liberal scholars in the 1930s as they attempted to revive and renew central ideas from classical liberalism, as they saw these ideas diminish in popularity. When the term entered into common use in the 1980s in connection with Augusto Pinochet's economy, quickly took a negative connotations and was employed principally by critics of market reform and laissez-faire capitalism. This year, the Philippines, for the second time in its history, has a national pavilion at the Architectural Biennial of Venice. The theme of this year's 16th Venice International Architecture Exhibition is Free Space. It explores new ways of thinking and seeing the world, of inventing solutions where architecture provides for the well-being and dignity of each citizen on our fragile planet. According to the curators, free space can be a space for opportunity, a democratic space and programmed and free for uses not yet conceived. Free space encompasses freedom to imagine the free space of time and memory, bending past, present, and future together.
Roland Barthes' Mythologies. According to Andrew Robinson at Ceasefire magazine, Barthes' work in myths prefigures discourse analysis and media studies. He directed his focus to certain insidious myths, particularly typical of right-wing populism and of the tabloid press. Barthes thought of populist mythology as a meta-language that removes history from language, making particular signs appear natural, eternal, absolute, or frozen, and transforming history into nature. Through its normalization, we lose sight of the artifice of cable news, for example, and take for granted its formatting as universal standard for high seriousness and credibility, as in the pretentious signification of breaking news, even we know we're being lied to. Rhetorical motifs of such media which construct the biggest myth of all, that what we are watching is unmediated reality. Barthes sought to go further than the pious show of unmasking the TV screen as a cultural text, and he would have unveiled its myths, as he did the myths proffered by wrestling, advertising, popular film and novels, tourism, photography, dining, and other seemingly mundane popular phenomena. And now, over 60 years since Barthes published his classic analysis, the need for a rigorously critical view of mass media, advertising, and political spectacle has become more pressing than ever.
Vita Activa by Hannah Arendt. The human condition, Karl Marx flipped hierarchy, claiming that a vital contemplative is merely a superstructure on the fundamental basic life process of the society. The public of the private realm. According to Arendt, ancient Greek life has divided between two realms: the public realm, in which action was performed, and private realm, site of the household rules by its head, labor. Labor is just a cyclical, repeated process that carries with it sense of vitality. In the ancient world, Aaron assessed labor with contemptible, not because it was just a slave, did rather slaves were contemptible because they are performed labor to failure but necessary action. Work comprises the whole process from the original idea, from the object to the obtain of raw materials, to the finished product. The process of work is determined by the categories of means and end. Action is the means by which we distinguish ourselves from others as unique and unexchangeable beings. With humans, unlike with other beings, there is not just a generic question of what we are but of who each individual is. Actions and speech are always between humans and directed towards them, and it generates human relationships. Diversity among the human that see the actions makes possible assurance of objectivity by letting an actions by witnesses from different perspectives. The vita activa and the modern age. The process of expropriation kicked off by the reformations of expropriated people from their lands and place in the world. Ironically, the outcomes of the scientific revolutions is the current theories had become a bizarre at that phrase. No one can grasp the world they describe.